You are like the queen of artworks because
Is it Artworks in Big Rapids?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. You're so adorable. But you've been there from the beginning, so you were actually part of the one council that joined. So tell me that story, because I forget I always mix that up.
We had two very active committees or councils in Big Rapids. One was the Arts Council, and the other was the Humanities Council. And I belonged to both groups separately.
Okay.
And then periodically I would suggest, or Gordon Millette was the president of one of the groups, and Jim Samuels was the president of another, as well as Doug Hainline. So we decided a couple different times to put
The two together.
Well, to put something on together,
Oh.
to host events.
Okay.
And it just got more wonderful from there.
Yeah. And so that was in when did you guys actually do, because there was a wedding of the two organizations, and Jack Batdorf was the bride, and who was the?
Carl, and he kept pinching his butt.
Carl Lightwall was the groom. And who was?
So wait, literally there was a wedding?
There was a
There
wedding,
was a wedding,
and Jack wore a wedding gown
With his mustache.
and a
or something.
veil. And who officiated?
Oh, Jim Samuels,
Oh, Jim was the officiant.
because he was
yes.
a lawyer.
I see, and so then the two organizations wed, but that was before 2000.
It was right
2000.
around. Yeah, right around 2000.
So the other organizations have been going on for quite a few
Oh,
years
yeah.
in town, and so you just collaborated and put the two together and said, let's do a joint effort.
Yeah, and there, when you think about it, there was some music, and then Tuba Bach started a little bit later. Now, he is also a member of the Arts Council.
Right, okay.
And so we have all kinds of crossovers with people. I'm trying to think of what did Barb Pillsbury, Stage M.
Right.
Stage
right.
M is part of this, and we've done things over the years in Big Rapids. It's pretty amazing to me, for kids,
Right,
for young people, for oldies.
yeah.
And
What was the thing that you guys did, it was Art in Paris or something? Wasn't that an ongoing event? And so that actually took place in Paris Park,
Paris Park.
right? And
Yeah.
they would, and I wasn't a part of it then, so tell me about that. I don't remember, I mean, I just remember seeing posters about it, but.
Yeah, I can't remember its exact name, its title, but they used to have events. They would put on plays.
So that's one thing about Artworks is we're always trying new things.
Yeah.
And so it might go for a couple years, but then it might not continue. But I think that's one of the cool things that keeps
Trying to get people together to work
Yeah.
together, so that there's a tremendous amount of crossover.
Right.
And a lot of it takes place at Artworks because both of the organizations are the parents of
Right,
Artworks.
Right.
And I can't remember how we got the title. I remember when we were fiddling around trying to decide what the name would be. And then somebody said, well, why don't you just call it Artworks? And so then it became Artworks. And
So initially, your first building was where Serendipity Clothing Store is now. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was the first storefront.
yes.
And then you had a number of artists that collaborated, and they would bring their art in to sell there, but then you had some classes going on.
We did.
Is that right?
Uh-huh. And basketry was taught, but not by me. It was taught by a woman whose mom and dad lived in Big Rapids.
Okay.
And
See, I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm trying to remember their last name. I think I can think of it.
Yeah. And then, so Julie Tillman was one of the original people for that as well, with Lisa Barnum and Carrie Weiss. and
Julie Tillman, or
what was
her other name?
Julie Martin.
Martin.
Yeah.
She was still working.
Okay, she was teaching it down at Morley
Yeah.
as the art teacher,
Mhm.
right?
And so she participated, but not as heavily as she was going to.
Right.
Because
okay.
then when she retired, she had a lot more time.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
But, so Lisa Barnum kind of spearheaded that storefront as well as
Carrie Weiss, Kathleen
Weiss.
Vandermark, Kristen Edinger,
Right, all those gals.
Kim Nicholas.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, in my first entry into, and this is not even connected to Artworks, but our boys were doing Cub Scouts at the time, and Chris Jensen, who is our neighbor, but he does graphic design at the ISD.
ISD.
So he did a presentation with my little Cub Scouts, but we used the back room there at where Serendipity is. We came in, so that was kind of my first introduction to Artworks, but I didn't know it, you know.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to 2009.
Okay.
And I got connected because I had been making, I love rubber stamping and making cards, and I always had friends who were like, you need to sell these, you need to sell these. And so I finally got up the courage and I bought a little table at Jeanette's citywide yard sale.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And I had all my cards laid out, and she comes by, she goes, oh, you need to sell these at Artworks, you need to come. Well, okay, so the renovation was happening in the building at the time.
Had we come across the street yet?
You were just renovating the building, so I think you had been across the street.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long. When did that take place? Tell me about that.
Oh, it was completely different than it is now. Artworks was where the Three Girls is now.
Right.
And then we had floor 1 and floor 2. We did not have the basement in use.
I see.
And then we had the hairdresser next door,
Right.
where we are now.
Mhm.
And so there's all kinds of moving around over the years, and I think we're pretty well where we
Settled.
want to be. Yeah.
Well, and they did that huge renovation and added the elevator and everything in
Right,
what,
and that was
2009? Is that right?
2009.
Okay.
And so I met her in September of 2009 at the yard sale, or end of August, whatever.
So that's when all that renovation was
Right.
happening.
And so she said, okay, we can't take you now, you come back in November. Okay, well, so there's a real process that artists are supposed to,
Yeah.
go
It's a
through.
committee.
It's
The whole
called a
jury, yeah,
process.
the whole jury thing.
Jeanette circumvented that for me, which I'm very grateful.
Did I? I didn't
So,
know that.
Yeah, well, so he said, bring your stuff back in. So Pat Heater graciously accepted me because Jeanette told me to say, Jeanette sent me, so I did. Anyway, so I became a volunteer then in 2009 to help get a higher commission. And lo and behold, who else is connected to Artworks but Stephen Ross? And Stephen Ross and I had a connection because for 20 years I worked at Spring Hill Camps up in Everett.
Oh.
And he would come and do programming for our environmental education program. So he goes to Jeanette and says, hey, do you know who that girl is? Do you know what her capabilities are? Because I had been the program director up
I
at
had
Spring
an
Hill.
idea.
And so Jeanette gave me the little job description for being the education director, because we were in
Oh,
at the
yeah.
education director, and I came back to her and I said, well, I was really flattered and I could do this. And she goes, oh, because like you can't do the program. I said, oh no, I can do this, but I can't give you, I think it was written for 20 hours. And you said, oh, for heaven's sakes, we can only pay you for 10 hours a week. So, because our kids were still young at the time.
Yeah.
And so then I took the reins, and the first thing we did was write a grant for summer camp. So then I came on and we did a bunch of camps, and we had a zillion classes,
Lots of
which
kids, yeah.
we didn't have I think we did 6 camps that summer. It was crazy.
Wow.
I know. So, yeah. Because camp was my world, so it
Yeah,
was a natural fit,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
loved it. It
yeah.
was very fun. So,
Yeah.
so then I was program director or education director for a while.
And then you got sick.
I had to have back surgery
Yeah.
and then hip surgery because I wore my hip out because my back was bent. So, and I thought, oh, my life was over with Artworks because I just loved Artworks.
Yeah.
But the beautiful part of this is, the redemption part is that because I wasn't doing administrative stuff, I could then come back and teach as I got stronger.
Which
And
is what
that's-
she's really
I
also good at.
I was always
Yeah.
frustrated as an administrator because I was like, oh, I could be doing that.
A step away from the kids.
The other thing is too is I love learning the process of how things work, and so, I'm just kind of an everyday artist. I'm not an artist, but I'm learning, and that's the beauty of Artworks, is you can come and learn something new that you might, I think as kids we tend to have this creative expression, but then as we get older, people tell us, oh, well, you're not as good as so-and-so or whatever, and that's the beautiful part about Artworks, is it gives all age groups an opportunity to come and try again or try something new for the first time and have success. And I think that's, so Jeanette and Nancy do these beautiful basket weaving classes, and I've taken her classes, and I just love everything, let's try it. Oh, I
Well,
want
and
to try
I
something
even
new.
take classes at Artworks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not successful, but it's fun to try to make something that I've never made
Right,
before.
right.
But the other thing I was going to say about Ruth is that
Yeah.
right now, she and my teaching buddy Nancy Randall, they have a group of adult developmentally delayed people. They love to come to Artworks.
Yeah.
Is it once a week?
They come every other week.
Every other week.
On a Monday, and we have helped Hope Network
Yes,
Agency
yes.
write a grant for our programming, and it's such a delight. And so, just to give them a quality of life experience, and they are amazing artists, but they just haven't necessarily had the opportunity
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
And so Nancy and I get that joy of working with them. So. It's been fun. This whole summer, we've been meeting them in Hemlock Park.
Yes.
Because it's open air and we all still wear our masks and we social distance, but we still get our programming done. So that's been a real joy to be a part of those people's lives.
Every now and then I see those young adults are, have outgrown or outaged or whatever Artworks, and they say, "Oh, you know me, remember, I was at Artworks." Yes, I do remember you. But I said, "Now you have to tell me your name, because there's lots of people
Yeah.
come walking through."
Right.
And they do, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And I think they felt like everybody who was there we wanted them there.
Right, absolutely.
And when you go through the classroom, when Ruth and Nancy are there, they're just, some of them are very reserved,
Yeah.
they're shy, but they just chatter like anything. And my friend Nancy is so impressed with the way that Ruth handles those young people.
Thank you.
She, I think that Nancy has never been comfortable as a teacher.
Well, she's great. She's like my girl Friday.
Yeah,
Because
she
she just anticipates
Yeah.
and she's wonderful. It's really fun. The other thing that Jeanette has brought to Artworks, though, which people might not know, is that you were executive director twice.
Yes, two
Okay.
different times.
2 different times. And then, but her real gift is she knows everybody in town. And that comes from her years as being in the school system.
district.
And she's a wonderful relationship builder. And so she connects people with their skills, and she's like, you should come try this, or you should try that. And so she has brought that to the table, and that's what's helped me, I think, continue to make Artwork stronger. She knew how to write grants.
Yeah, I
and
wrote a lot of grants.
So she's now passed that off. We have a grant writer.
Yeah.
But just, she's an amazing woman
Well,
of
thank you.
connection, and it's just a joy.
I love to see people come together who,
It's-
yeah. And a lot of the artists, I think they make a little bit more of a cut if they serve as the
A volunteer.
volunteer
Right.
at Artworks. And so they open the building and work with the people who come in, which I think is a really added benefit, because like if I'm
You're
there.
invested.
Yes, and if I'm there and somebody comes in and wants this or that from Joyce Capon, I always say, now Joyce is also an artist here. So I always,
Right.
promote the fact
Right.
that the
Exactly.
artists are actually working in this place, and it makes it even more precious.
Yeah, absolutely.